Hold your breath for exactly 3 seconds. Just do it right now, wherever you are sitting. What exactly is filling your lungs? You would probably confidently say oxygen or air, or perhaps you would just call it empty space. We move our hands through the air. We build massive skyscrapers into the sky, and we launch satellites into the dark void, completely operating under the assumption that the space around us is a dead, empty container. But the most brilliant minds in modern astrophysics are currently experiencing a terrifying, paradigm-shifting realization. That empty space you are breathing in, the vast dark space between the burning stars, and the microscopic space between the atoms inside your own physical body is not empty at all. It is a dense, mathematically terrifying, invisible ocean of raw power that actively dictates the entire physical universe. And the man who originally discovered how to tap into this invisible ocean, the undisputed father of the modern electrical age, did not find the ultimate answer in a Western laboratory. He found it by sitting down in New York City and quietly studying a 5,000-year-old Sanskrit manuscript. Today, we are going to strip away the academic noise and expose the greatest unadvertised secret in the history of science. We are decoding the invisible matrix. Let us look at the raw, undeniable data for a second, because the mainstream scientific community rarely admits this loudly. If you walk into the most elite astrophysics department in the world today and ask them what the universe is actually made of, they have to admit an incredibly humbling truth. Everything human beings have ever seen, measured, and touched, every planet, every burning star, every galaxy, every piece of technology, and your own physical body, makes up exactly 5% of the known universe, just 5%. The other 95% is completely missing from our instruments. Modern science calls this missing massive chunk dark matter and dark energy. Now they use the word dark not because it is inherently evil or sinister, but because they are completely and utterly blind to it. It does not emit, absorb, or reflect light. Our multi-billion-dollar telescopes cannot see it. But the physicists know, with absolute mathematical certainty, that it is there. Why? Because when they look at the edges of galaxies, those galaxies are spinning at such a violently high velocity that, according to standard gravitational laws, they should instantly rip themselves apart and scatter their stars into the deep void. But they do not. Something invisible, a massive, undetectable webbing of extreme density, is holding the galaxies perfectly together. That is dark matter. At the exact same time, the entire universe is expanding. But it is not just drifting apart, it is expanding at a terrifying, accelerating rate, driven by a repulsive anti-gravity force that pushes everything outward. They call this dark energy. Modern physics has been violently forced to accept that the vacuum of space is not a dead, empty void. It is a living, vibrating, infinite matrix of raw power. Advanced quantum mechanics now refers to this as the zero-point field. This means that even in the deepest, coldest vacuum of deep space, at absolute zero where all thermal motion is supposed to freeze and completely stop, the empty space is still boiling with an incomprehensible amount of quantum energy. Subatomic particles are constantly popping into existence from nowhere and vanishing back into nothingness. The empty space is actually a fluid of infinite potential. Now, I want you to seriously consider the sheer arrogance required by modern academia. To believe that human beings just discovered this invisible matrix in the last 50 years. If you bypass the modern university textbooks and dive straight into the foundational texts of Sanatana Dharma, specifically the Nasadiya Sukta, which is the profound hymn of creation found in the Rig Veda, you will find a cosmological framework so incredibly advanced that it makes modern standard model physics look completely elementary. The ancient rishis did not have orbital satellites, they did not have particle colliders, yet they explicitly and flawlessly detailed the exact invisible mechanics of the cosmos. They documented that before the physical manifestation of solid matter, there was neither existence nor non-existence. There was only a profound, unmanifested state. The foundational substrate of the universe was identified in Sanskrit as Akasha. Western historians and colonial translators consistently and lazily translate Akasha as simply sky or space, but that is a severe, almost insulting mistranslation. In ancient Vedic science, Akasha is not empty nothingness. It is the primary, invisible, conductive fluid of the universe. It is the omnipresent, all-penetrating ether from which all physical forms are born and into which all physical forms eventually dissolve. It is the exact, literal, ancient equivalent of the modern zero-point field or the dark matter webbing that holds the galaxies intact. But the ancient sages went one massive step further than modern physicists. They understood that the Akasha is completely motionless and static until it is acted upon by the primordial kinetic force of the universe. They called this active force prana. Modern yoga classes have reduced the word prana to simply mean breathing exercises. But on a macrocosmic scale, prana is the infinite, active, vibrating energy of the entire cosmos. It is the exact equivalent of dark energy, the invisible force that drives the motion of the galaxies. The ancient texts state absolutely clearly that all physical matter in the universe, from a tiny blade of grass to a supermassive black hole, is simply the temporary result of prana vibrating within the Akasha. Solid matter is nothing more than condensed, localized energy. When the prana is active, the universe expands and solidifies into matter. When the prana withdraws, the matter dissolves back into the invisible Akasha. They mapped the exact mechanics of quantum field theory thousands of years before the Western world even knew the Earth was round. You might be sitting there thinking this is just a very clever philosophical overlap, a lucky guess by ancient poets. But I promised you authentic, documented historical proof, and I am going to deliver it right now. We have to look at the end of the 19th century, at a man who fundamentally built the world you currently live in. Nikola Tesla is the greatest electrical engineer in human history. He is the man who developed the alternating current electrical system, the foundation for wireless communication and neon lighting. At the height of his genius, Tesla was obsessed with one specific, impossible goal. He was desperately trying to mathematically prove that matter and energy were interchangeable, and he wanted to tap into the unlimited, wireless energy of the vacuum of space. He intuitively knew that an invisible ether existed, but Western science completely lacked the vocabulary and the conceptual framework to define it. In 1896, at a private gathering in New York City, Nikola Tesla met a highly educated, deeply profound Indian monk named Swami Vivekananda. Vivekananda had traveled to the West to introduce the intellectual elite to the ancient philosophy of Vedanta and the highly systematic Sankhya philosophy. When Tesla sat down and listened to Swami Vivekananda describe the complex Vedic concepts of Akasha and prana, the inventor was absolutely stunned. It was the exact theoretical framework he had been desperately searching for in his laboratory. The ancient Hindus had already mapped the invisible matrix of reality. Vivekananda actually wrote a letter to a friend detailing this profound encounter. In the letter, he stated that Mr. Tesla was completely charmed by the Vedantic prana and Akasha, and that Tesla believed he could finally demonstrate mathematically that force and matter are reducible to potential energy. This is not some internet conspiracy theory. This is a highly documented, authentic historical interaction between two giants of their respective fields. Tesla immediately went to work attempting to apply Vedic cosmology to modern electrical engineering. Tesla was so profoundly impacted by this ancient Hindu science that he completely altered his academic language. He realized that the English language was insufficient to describe quantum reality. If you read Nikola Tesla's posthumously published essay titled Man's Greatest Achievement, which he wrote in 1907, the undisputed father of alternating current explicitly abandons Western scientific terminology. He writes, and I am quoting him verbatim, "Long ago he recognized that all perceptible matter comes from a primary substance or tenuity beyond conception, filling all space, the Akasha or luminiferous ether, which is acted upon by the life-giving prana or creative force, calling into existence, in never-ending cycles, all things and phenomena. I want you to let the massive weight of that reality truly hit you. the man who invented the modern electrical world, the undisputed genius who designed the grid that is powering the very screen you are looking at right now. Explicitly and publicly credited the ancient Vedas for revealing the ultimate mechanical truths of the universe. When Tesla built his famous Wardenclyffe Tower, a massive, futuristic wireless energy transmission station, he was not just trying to send radio signals. He was actively attempting to build a machine that would tap directly into the Akasha. He wanted to use the Earth as a giant tuning fork to harness the limitless prana of the zero-point field and distribute free energy to the entire world. But when his elite financial backers, like JP Morgan, realized that you cannot put a physical meter on an invisible, infinite energy source, they instantly cut his funding and destroyed the project. Following this, the mainstream Western scientific community actively worked to erase the concept of the ether from the textbooks. They spent the next century pushing a purely materialistic view of the universe, ignoring the invisible matrix because it could not be easily monetized or controlled. The reason the mainstream educational system absolutely refuses to teach this historical connection today is because it completely destroys the arrogant narrative of Western scientific supremacy. We are heavily conditioned to believe that human civilization is moving in a straight, uninterrupted line from primitive, ancient ignorance to modern technological brilliance. But the absolute truth is, we are not discovering new laws of physics. We are simply, and very painfully, remembering the ancient ones. We are currently spending trillions of dollars building massive subterranean machines to detect the invisible matrix of dark matter, completely ignoring the fact that the human nervous system was originally designed to interface with this exact matrix through advanced states of consciousness. When you finally understand the universe through the accurate lens of Akasha and Prana, your entire worldview shifts. You realize that you are never actually sitting in an empty room. You are constantly submerged in an infinite, intelligent ocean of raw energy. The most elite engineers, quantum computer scientists, and tech innovators in the world today are slowly beginning to realize a terrifying truth. The next massive evolutionary leap in human technology will not come from exploding dead fossil fuels, and it will not come from building slightly faster silicon microchips. The ultimate leap will be tapping directly into the zero-point field, the foundational Akasha. And when modern science finally figures out how to pull limitless wireless energy from the vacuum of space, they will not be inventing something new. They will simply be utilizing the exact pranic technology that was flawlessly encoded in the Upanishads and the Vedas thousands of years before the birth of the Western world. The ultimate frontier of elite modern engineering is a return to Sanatana Dharma. If this uncompromising, unapologetic breakdown of dark energy, Nikola Tesla, and the profound science of the ancient Vedic Akasha has completely shattered your perception of reality, I need you to step up and take immediate action. The algorithm is strictly designed to suppress this kind of deep, historical, intellectual content because it challenges the mainstream narrative. We have a massive responsibility to force this absolute truth out into the light. Hit the like button right now. That simple click tells the system that this undeniable, historically backed ancient knowledge must be distributed to every corner of the earth. I also want you to go down into the comments section immediately and make your voice heard. Tell me exactly how you feel knowing that Nikola Tesla, the father of modern technology, used the ancient Vedas to understand the universe. Does it change how you view our ancient scriptures? Does it change how you look at the empty space around you? Let me know your exact thoughts down below, because I genuinely read every single comment to see who is truly absorbing this elite information. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the notification bell fully turned on so you never miss these deep dives into the unedited truth. Keep your mind razor sharp, stay deeply rooted in our authentic science, share this video everywhere, and I will see you in the next one.